Hey, my name's B.A. Thomas. I'm the Associate Media Producer here at Trinity Lutheran Church and School, and I'm joined today by Associate Pastor Ryan McAllister. Ryan's taught me so much about what I know about sound mixing, how to make a worship setting sound good, and what kind of things to look for. And that's why today for the Trinity Tech Tour, we're going to go over our sound system. Every time you sit down at home and every time you sit down in one of these pews, this is the machine that's responsible for giving you what you hear. Every instrument, every song, everything except the slides. It's all this. So I guess we have to start at the very beginning. Ryan, why did we pick, what is this system called?
Sure. Well, hey, everybody. We are using the Waves LV1 system. That's what we've transitioned to. And just a little context, here at Trinity, our worship sanctuary holds about, well, it says it holds 1,200, but for those of you who have pews in your church, you'll know that maybe 1,000 would be a lot in a church of 1,200. So that's about the size that we're looking at. Previously, we used the Yamaha M7CL, so physical console. So this is a big change for us to the software-based Waves LV1. So that's what we're using now. So, if you get the LV1 system, which we love, you don't have to have this big of a setup. You could literally have just one screen and you could work from there. So the way that it's kind of broken down is we have all of our analog and digital inputs that come in, and then we have the IXO inputs down here, you'll see. So everything's computed down here with all of the inputs. We have 4 here and then one that's actually down on the altar stage area. The way that they have things structured, your software's here on the Axis One computer, and then you have the SoundGrid server here. They call it the Extreme Server, CX9. And this is what processes all of your plugins. So we don't have any external plugins that we use, processing, EQ, all of those things, delay, reverb. Everything is done through that system right there. All of the IXOs are just all of our inputs and outputs. Okay. So they're all full, just with analog XLRs in the back or 1/4 inch, whatever you need.
Okay, so kind of like if you plug your if you plug your keyboard into the front of your computer tower, it's kind of like that.
Right, well, and we have lots of options there, which is great. So it processes everything, and everything's done on a network, which is completely different. So everything is done through what's called the DigiGrid network, so that you can have digital interfaces at any point, anywhere in your church. So we actually use that for Pro Tools and a computer, and we'll show that here in a second, but we're working also to have that available anywhere that we want. So it's really helps things not be too cumbersome. But you have to have that extra server to process everything so that it's not, the load does not get too heavy for the computer. So then when we have it set up here, BA, you can really customize it. BA's mainly the one who's mixing for us now, especially the in-house mix. And you can set things up any way that you want. It's very customizable. You can have 2 different screens that have the banks on them of your all of your different inputs, and you can actually scroll through those here on the right-hand side, as you know, sir, of course. And then we also have the fit controller here. So this is a MIDI controller, and you can either have this be a standalone module, that's what I like to do. I think BA likes it to follow one of the screens a little bit more.
Because I've got more control just with my hands moving a physical fader than I do moving it here. Because if I have to make a micro adjustment, and we're talking like fractions of a decibel, like the difference between a whisper and a stage whisper, I'd rather use a physical board. But if I just need to turn something on and off really quick, I'd rather hit that button. It's right there in front of my face, and I can look up and see where the action's happening immediately instead of going down and up.
So it gives you lots of personal preference to what you want to do and how you want it to be laid out. Now, just so that you know, you can only have 2 banks on your screens. So the LV1 is set up that it supports 4 different touch screens, and what we do is you can only have 2. So if you want to have a 3rd, that's where you can have a physical fit controller here. Then over here, what we do is we have all of our EQ and processing, and that actually follows whatever channel is highlighted, which is really, really fun. And you can scroll in and out, and you can add, a digital rack here of all your plugins in order and what you want, and then all your inputs and outputs, outputs, they have a good flow, input, output. and then all of your sends as well. So it's pretty intuitive. I mean, there's tons of bells and whistles. But,
a lot of bells and whistles, yeah.
We're only scratching the surface of what we're really doing here next. Then in this screen we have all of our scenes that we can scroll through with all of your presets, and we also have the patch window. You can go through all the different devices that you can use, inputs, outputs, you can see them there. And then we also have the setup. This just talks about your in and out devices, the servers that you can have, all your control surfaces, and how you configure everything. Now there's tons of videos online from Waves specifically on how to break all those down, so we will not do that today.
Yeah. Here you can see that we have all of these DigiGrid devices, like the parts in your computer where you plug in your keyboards and mice and everything. We have even more space here, which I really appreciate, because this sanctuary, while it's chock full of technology, we still have space to do even more things here if we require it. We're coming up to our capacity right now as far as the computer itself is concerned, but we have more space to do more stuff, which I really, really like.
Yeah, it's expandable. You have a lot of space. And one thing just to notice too, that you might find is fun, you can actually, in an old board, analog board, even digital boards, if you want to tie and have a stereo, a channel, say you want your electric guitars in stereo because you want the effects to be in stereo.
Yeah.
You would actually have to have two faders be tied together like in an old Yamaha. Here, you can have one channel be stereo, and you can kind of see that here. These are in stereo, but then we come up here to like the drums, the kick and snare, they're not in stereo, but here's the overheads. We have those in stereo. And it only takes up one fader, which is awesome, and it helps you get a lot in a smaller amount of space.
Yeah.
So that's fun too. And then we also have, we didn't kind of point this out, this is the DigiGrid D. It's the Cube, I think that's what they call it as well.
Yeah.
So we use this for monitoring. We have our monitors here, and then we have our headphone mix in here. And then if we're doing any just simple recording up here, recording a few tracks, to supplement maybe the multi-tracks for a song or recording something else, we'll just use this little console.
Yeah.
It's nice. The sound is great.
It is. It really is very, very nice.
Yeah,
just sitting up here and being able to listen to everyone, not only on speakers that we have like tucked behind the monitors here, but actually being able to just use this jack and not having to blast over the speakers just Ryan's guitar while everyone else is playing and throwing them all off. It's pretty handy.
Yeah, it's just really user-friendly, I think, too. Cool. And then we'll just point out, and we've had this on other tech tour videos, we use Pro Tools to record and for our tracks here. One of the great things about the LV1 now, and you can have this interface with the DigiGrid. So instead of having like a Dante network where you can only have 16 in and out, it's pretty much unlimited to what the computer can take, what load it can take. So we can multi-track every instrument and mix it down and get crazy if we want to.
We have a full bank of 16 right here, and I think all of them are in stereo.
Yeah, they're all in stereo. Those are the tracks that we put in. So we have click and guide, and then 14 other tracks that we put in. We don't always use them all.
Yeah, I mean, you only need so many extra like drum fills and guitar sounds and harpsichords and
So we have a lot of fun with that and craft that depending on the service and who we have to fill things out. And all of the sends are processed here as well. All the monitors. One thing we do want to point out is the MyMon app, which is awesome. We use that so everybody who's playing on a Sunday, they can use their phone to create their own monitor mix.
Yeah, it takes a load off of the tech actually running the board, having the guitarist mess with the guitarist mix instead of stopping rehearsal, calling up, hey, can I have a little bit more drummer? Like just the crash cymbal, just a little, keep going. Yeah. Don't have to do that anymore. They can do it out of their pocket.
Yeah, if you're able to, we really have found that individual in-ear monitors are key and huge.
Yeah.
So this allows us to have all of those individual sends remotely monitored, and we will just say a caution is you have to have your own router.
Yeah.
So other than it's built into the system, you have to have your own router to send that signal, and on your phones you're going to want to disable the function to automatically join any other networks.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to get kicked off all the time. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
And you may even on your phone need to go in and enable the MyMon app to use Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we found, especially Android phones, it doesn't automatically come up as an option and you have to enable it. But it is awesome. And in fact, we actually even use this currently for our live stream mix.
Yeah.
So we have a dedicated stereo send that we use, and we use just a brand new iPad that we got that's very robust. And you can go through, and we have somebody who remotely mixes that right now. The only drawback here, and this is something that we're actually working on, is we're going to separate our signal and actually send an entirely different mix for the stream mix that we run live, because you can't really control the EQ and have a separate EQ for the house and for the stream, which is, as you know, not ideal because the house is different than it would be online.
Yeah, a lot more echo here than there is in the space of the internet.
Yeah. So that's something that we're working on. That's the next step for us here.
Is there anywhere that you want to take this system next? Like what's on your Christmas list for LV1?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great system. I think splitting the stream mix is a big one, and that will actually take off some processing power a little bit here, but definitely we are fortunate enough to have a studio that's nearby, so someone in isolation can actually mix and not have any bleed from the live service, which I know most churches probably can't do that, but if you can find a way to isolate whoever's doing the stream mix, that will actually help make it clear and isolate it in a good way. You know, I don't think we're going to expand with any more fit controllers or anything like that. You know, we may have to get another module, another input module to grow, but we're really still scratching the surface and trying to really get it tuned to the room. And just so you know, everyone, we have this being sent down to actually another DigiGrid rack module down there that then goes into the distributors for the speakers, and they're awesome. They're Meyer Sound, expensive but fantastic, and they have processing in there as well. So that's kind of our entire setup.
Yeah.
And we use a lot of wireless mics and wireless guitar packs as well. So just be careful when you're integrating all of that with the different wireless signal, and you may need to watch that when it comes to your router, what you use too, if you use something that's based on a like a Wi-Fi signal, which I know is an option now. It's a great system. It's a steep learning curve because it's very different, but there's lots of tutorials online, and you may want to talk to a professional company to help with the integration and the purchasing of what you specifically need. What they did with us is just talk through all the inputs that we have, made sure that we have all the correct components and how to put things together, because once we got it together, then it wasn't too bad. Well, if you like this, be sure to subscribe, to also click the like button, and especially if you're a church our same size, we have a lot of media that we're putting out specific to our needs, and that might be helpful for you. So I encourage you to do that.
Yeah, don't forget to leave a comment if you have any questions about any of the things that you've seen. If Ryan doesn't answer them, I might answer them. If I don't answer them, somebody else will probably
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll be here. We'll be around.